And let's just quickly move to our next question. And my next question was from Mawela, and that's regarding urban settlements. Now, once again, if we look at our urban settlements, we need to go and look, and once again, a diagram was added to the question. Now, if we just quickly have a look at it, the diagram shows us the rural-urban fringe. Now, first of all, let's just quickly identify what's been given to us on the diagram. First of all, immediately I can spot the CBD, the Central Business District, as you can see. And they've mentioned it's the inner city. Now, as you can see, if you look at the characteristics of the CBD, it's the most accessible place in an urban settlement. You can see that all the major routes leads to the CBD. Now, if we continue, if we look at our urban settlements, if we look at the, usually we got a lower class over here, middle class settlements, our higher class settlements. We have our OBDs, outgoing business districts. For instance, Sandton is a beautiful example. But very importantly, they've shown us with the letter A that represents activities taking place on the rural-urban fringe. Now, what is the rural-urban fringe? It's a transition zone from our urban area into our rural area. Now, if we look at Johannesburg as an example, usually we find our airports on the rural-urban fringe. But unfortunately today, the model doesn't look exactly the same anymore, because what has happened, our urban areas has grown so much bigger that our urban areas extended past those airfields. But back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, our airfields, for instance, this landing strip, used to be on the rural-urban fringe. Now, let's just quickly have a look at the type of activities that's taking place on the rural-urban fringe. We get high-tech industrial services over there, industries over there. We have gated communities. Now, gated communities, for instance, I'm going to use two examples. For instance, Steyn City is an example just on the outskirts of Johannesburg, and we can use the Eye of Africa just on the outskirts of Johannesburg, south of Johannesburg, close to Alberton. And then we have planned housing developments taking place over there. We have landing strips like airports. Lanseria Airport is a great example. We have a large shopping center over there. We have farmsteads. These farmsteads might be farms, it's intensive farming taking place. For instance, tomatoes, cucumbers, it's perishable, needs to be very close to the market. The market is obviously going to be your urban area. Then you have your industrial zone. It might be heavy industrial area. The reason why they're on the outskirts is because of heavy pollution, noise pollution, and very importantly, they are linked to transport networks. And once again, we have an industrial park over there, and we have an out-of-town theme park, very similar to Gold Rush City, in case not Gold Rush City. But let's just quickly have a look at the questions that's being asked over here. The first question, what is a rural-urban fringe? Like I explained to you, it's the transition zone from the urban area to the rural area. If we quickly have a look at our next question. State two urban land uses that are evident in the rural-urban fringe. Now, we have identified quite a few. Let's just quickly go and have a look at them again. The answers are right there on this diagram. There's a planned housing development situated over there, gated community, landing strip, airports, airfields, shopping centers, farmsteads, intensive farming, industrial zones, another industrial park, and theme parks. So quite a few that we find on the rural-urban fringe. If you look at the next question, why is the rural-urban fringe an attractive location for the gated community? Now, a gated community, like I've mentioned, is like Stain City. It's like Eye of Africa. There's high walls all around the community, and security guards patrol the gates, entering and leaving. Now, this first reason for it, and the most important reason, I reckon, why they're planning gated communities is because they want bigger stands. Now, it happens over time because of urban sprawl that I will explain to you in a couple of minutes, that there's not enough space in our urban areas to develop anymore, and land has become very expensive. So it's cheaper to move to the rural urban fringe, where stands might be cheaper and you can get bigger sizes available for a better price. Another reason that we can mention over here, puts people in touch with nature. Okay, and obviously it's less congested, means there's less pollution, noise pollution and air pollution. So sometimes people do feel like the need to be able to move out of the outskirts of the urban areas to experience more nature, experience bigger stands, meaning gardens, etc. Another reason that you can add over there is, very importantly, it's closely connected to national routes. So if you do live in a gated community, it's quite easy to access national routes to, for example, take you to the central business district. If we look at our next question, 3.4.5. The demand for housing is growing rapidly, and developers are looking at the rural urban fringe as a solution for the shortage of building space. Suggest two possible objections to planned housing developments in the rural urban fringe. Now, grade 12s, I love this question because it's a very important question. First of all, why do we experience this rapidly growing need for housing in urban settlements? It's because of, when we look at our previous question, gracious centers, it's because of the rural-urban migration. There's so many people moving from rural areas looking for better opportunities in the urban areas that we have housing shortages. And it puts massive, massive strain on our infrastructure because we have too many people in our urban areas and less services. It means it puts our service delivery under enormous pressure. Now, to answer that question, first of all, it causes urban sprawl. Now, let's just quickly define urban sprawl. It's quite important because this question came up a couple of times in the final exams. If we look at urban sprawl, it's the uncontrolled increase in urban areas. Now, it means that the physical size of the urban areas are getting bigger, but it's uncontrolled. Because a matter of fact is we need professional people like town and city planners to work out sewage, to work out infrastructure, to work out the amount of electricity that's needed. And unfortunately, the urban areas grow so much bigger over a short period of time that it puts an amazing amount of pressure on our service delivery. And lastly, like I've mentioned before, it's because of the movement of rural urban migration. Once again, coming back to Gracious' question, we need to come up with ideas to be more sustainable, to make service delivery so much better in our rural settlements so that people don't want to move to urban settlements because it puts huge amount of pressure on our service delivery as well as our infrastructure, such as sewage, electricity demand, as well as water.